guys I've known and women I've known forever, classic liberals. But here's Marcy Kaptur, who's a moderate Democrat from Ohio. Here's what she said. She predicted an alliance on Hardball like this one. Tea Partiers who want to cut spending and liberals who think, for example, wasteful spending goes on in the Defense Department. Let's listen.
I was just going to say, if I might just mention, and I look forward to alliances with some of the Tea Party Republicans that have just been elected, because when NAFTA passed in 1993, we only had a 12-vote margin that would have made the difference. And look at the terrible hemorrhage of jobs that occurred because of that. I'll tell you, I think that there's a real Democratic Tea Party Republican alliance to be born in this new Congress. And if it doesn't happen, the people who don't support jobs in this country won't be reelected 2 years from now.
Always like Marcy Kaptur. Let me ask you this, Josh, this question. Is this something to look at? Will this affect the debt ceiling? Will this affect a lot of things? This coalition of the left and liberal coast, the East Coast, West Coast, we have a lot of liberals in the big cities lining up with some of these people from the country, basically, from the rural parts of the country, these Tea Partiers.
You know, I certainly don't think it's going to be a dominant coalition in this Congress, and I sort of suspect that on the...
Well, what about on debt ceiling, something that's really hot?
You know, possibly. I suspect it'll come up more with other issues like this, but, you know, you certainly could have a situation where you've got, you know, the less establishment Democrats, more populist Democrats who you know, you've got that kind of thing happening. I mean, you know, not a common thing, but I think this is something we have to look out for, because you see that basic division in the Republican Party up there between people like Boehner and Cantor, who may be conservative, but they're basically establishment people. They want to keep everything.
Yeah, they love to appropriate for their district. That's what power means to these guys.
Yeah, exactly. They want to keep everything going. They want people to get reelected. They want the money to keep flowing, like the people on the other side of the aisle do. And a lot of these Tea Partiers are coming in. You know, some of them I think will decide pretty quickly they'd like to stay and they want to be part of that club. But some of them don't really seem to care that much whether they're still going to be in Congress, you know, 4 or 6 years out. So I think you will have some of this cross-cutting establishment versus populist stuff that crosses the party lines.
You could really say these are hypocrites because they want to raise and spend a lot of money but not take it from the rich people. In other words, don't tax too much but spend a lot in your own district. But that would be hypocrisy, wouldn't it? Let's go take a look at Boehner. He's getting a little strange lately. Here's John Boehner, Speaker of the House, trying to clean up his mess the other day, where he said, when we talked about it, somebody asked about losing a lot of public employee jobs, maybe up to 100, 200,000, or up to maybe 1 million at one point, the estimate, and he said, so be it, like he was the Pharaoh. Well, here he is putting back a comment to try to clean that up. Let's listen.
I don't want anyone to lose their job, whether they're a federal employee or not. But come on, we're broke. We've got to make tough decisions. When we say we're going to cut spending, read my lips. We're going to cut spending.
Well, why is he quoting the first George Bush in his worst quote in history? Is that to cover up the so be it sort of pharaonic comment he made the other day?
You know, I know that there are a lot of Democratic ad makers who've already taken that come on line, and they've got it queued up for ads that are going to be running, you know, a year, 18 months from now. You know, John Boehner is having a little problem, you know, getting up to speed and not making, you know, these kind of snarky comments, which, you know, in a climate where you still have upwards of 10% unemployment, that's just lethal. And you can see that even though he tried to walk it back a little, he's still basically saying the same thing. And you know, this is what happens when you are the king of the hill. You know, the problem with no jobs is yours.
Tom Dewey lost an election for president because he made fun of an engineer working on a train. He said, who must be an idiot as an engineer on this train? And every labor guy in the country, every working person in the country said, this guy looks down on us? Great, I'm voting for the other guy. I'm voting for Harry Truman.
Yeah,
anyway, thank you, Josh Marshall. It's always great to get deep understanding of deep issues, sir. Thank you. It's
Thanks
great.
So much.
And I think you're pretty straight on all this stuff. Up next, Michelle Bachmann keeps the birther lie alive. And Karl Rove says the whole birther issue is a strategy of the White House. Oh, yeah? Watch people like Michelle Bachmann in action. You know where this is coming from. Check out what they're saying about President